Right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, for whatever reason, the algorithm thinks that's what's happening with you. So, but we're live. Hello, everybody. Let's switch to the multi-stream, even though the multi-stream hasn't worked for us very well.
Hello.
We know that if you comment on Twitch, that we can see your comments, but for whatever reason, the Facebook and YouTube comments are not showing up, and I'm not technologically savvy enough to make sure that I know why that's or how to fix it. So anyway, we're back. Welcome to Creating Comics. I'm your host, Chad Harden. With me today are my interns Ringo and Dev. That's where you guys say hi.
I did say hi.
Oh, you did say hi? Okay.
Yeah, hello.
All right.
I didn't hear it either, so I don't know if it just glitched out or.
Oh no.
Well, hello, everybody.
Okay.
But I didn't say hi, so.
Okay. Well, now we have. We've remedied that situation. So anyway, so 2 episodes ago, we were working on Dazzler, and I forgot to show people the final outcome. Now, this is obviously not Dazzler, but it was another commission from the same batch that turned out well. This is Harley Quinn, Batman Who Laughs mashup. This went to. You know what? I probably shouldn't name the clients, right? Anyway, I went to a client in Colorado. Colorado Comic Con is next weekend. So if you're going to the Colorado Comic Con, I'll see you there. I've been horrible about posting my con appearances on my social media, but I will be in Denver. So, are you guys planning on going? Did either of you guys submit?
I did not know.
Okay. Well,
Not this time.
I get it, but it is close. It's one of the conventions that is drivable. You have to have a pretty hefty pickup truck or to get up the mountain. Don't try it in a 20-year-old Honda Accord. I've done that. It won't make it up the mountain.
That sounds like a story.
Yeah, totally. So here's the Dazzler that I finished. Now, the original drawing, I had to completely change it because the hands went off the side, or I'd have to completely size down Dazzler to get it to fit. So I basically just redrew it on the cover. The other was just sort of a preliminary. It turned out nice though. So if you were curious about how the Dazzler turned out, this is how the Dazzler turned out, and then. Let's review some of our Death Watch pages. That's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be working on page 5 of Death Watch. And for those of you who are curious about how page 3 turned out, here's page 3. The only thing I didn't have in on the last episode was the speed lines in this panel. So I finished the speed lines and finished the background, and then we went on to page 4. Let me pull up page 4 here real quick so you can see the difference. I wonder which one has. I think this one has the layers, so we'll pull up this one. So there's a little bit of a difference. If you look, this is the finished file. It has the panel breaks in it, the gutters. There's a little bit of fixes that happen. Like, for example, I went back and added the mustache in on the priest. Forgot that I basically modeled my priest after Sean Connery. And,
I could see it.
yeah, forgot the mustache. Anyway, so, I'll show you where we were. Oh, no, wait, it's on the other file. I was like, never mind, I deleted it. No, I didn't. So this is where we were, right here. No. Maybe. No, there it is. Okay, let's turn this up. So this is where we got to. I went back and redid this panel. I wanted to have a panel where, right at the vampire's death, they revert back to their human form, and then, the parasitical vampiristic host takes its toll, and they basically dissolve to ash. So, I don't think we showed that part. I think we showed like the first 3, maybe 4 panels.
Yeah, I don't think we were there yet.
Yeah. And so here's the, let me turn these back off. And then this is basically the finished one. Oh, I did add the mustache back in. Let's get the borders up. Okay. So anyway, I added a little bit of Photoshop. I think I added a little bit of, the brick tile of the floor in this panel. I did that in Photoshop just to speed things up. But everything else was pretty faithful to what we did. I hope I added, let's go back. Let's see if I added, nope, I forgot the tiles here. That's a bummer. Oh well. Hopefully it doesn't break anyone's suspension of disbelief. But anyway, that's the finished page. Turned out pretty nice. Let's see. JD Smith Digital Art, turned out to be dazzling. Nobody's Illusion. Happy CouchCon. Okay, I didn't know CouchCon was going on. I need to reach out to it. Is it? Says JD Smith Digital Art. Yeah. JD Goodman's back saying, good afternoon, Chad. Good to have you guys back on the live stream. Thanks for being in the chat. We'll try and check the comments and not leave you guys hanging. Things get crazy though while I start drawing because I tend to ignore chat while I draw. So Ringo and Dev, you guys man the comment section, and then we can bring it back in, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So
Good.
we already talked a little bit about at the beginning of the show of everything that we couldn't talk about today, despite it being relevant and anyway. So let's go back to the things we can talk about. What were some of the things we can talk about? Were we going to talk about commissions?
We could talk about commissions.
All right. Do you want to go with your story first, Ringo?
Oh yeah.
Go with your
Nice
story first.
Story.
And I'll keep drawing while you tell your story. So.
Okay, so this is the second time that this has happened to me, just for reference. So I got a message over Instagram, which isn't unusual, and it was just somebody saying like, "Hey, I'd love for you to draw a picture for my son's birthday. I'll pay you $300." Which was like, okay, kind of weird that you're naming the price up front, but I deal with weirdos sometimes. So I kind of cautiously optimistic, proceeded along, try to figure out the deets and stuff like that. And then it got to the point where she asked me where I lived, to pay for shipping costs. And I usually cover shipping costs for my clients just because it's not that much to ship a piece of paper, at least for me personally. And so I just kind of let her know, and she was chill about it. And then she proceeded to ask me if I would take an electronic check.
Oh,
Which...
and there's when the red flag went up, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was already like halfway there, just because of the weirdness.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it got straight up, because last time I ran with it a little bit, because I was like, I'm curious to see what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And they sent me a photoshopped check with like the name and stuff typed out, like clearly photoshopped. So I just let her know, like, I don't do checks. I can't take checks right now. I only do PayPal or Venmo. And she said that's not going to work for me. So
okay.
Yep. So sorry. Moral of the story: unless you're like getting paid face to face, don't take checks. Online equals online money.
Yeah. And then I had a story about how even when it's someone you've met, you still got to be careful. But we can go into that later. Dev, you want to talk about your wonderful commission situation, or do you want to? Because it is touchy. It is touchy. You don't want to talk about anything that can cause you to not get work in the future. But
Right.
all it was it wasn't really the client's fault. It was just the circumstances. But this event made me add another terms and conditions to my commission sheet, because essentially it was a big commission, right? It was, I think, 6 characters.
Yeah.
And a background.
Yeah.
And it was a really big image. And so it was a big commission, and it probably should have taken me. I think earlier when we were talking in private, I said like a week. Realistically, though, probably like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it ended up taking me like 3 or 4.
Oy.
And the reason was because it was a dungeon master. He wanted to commission a piece of his party of his Dungeons and Dragons party members, and the issue was that a lot of them just didn't have designs, or I wasn't in contact with any of the party members, only in contact with the DM.
So you have an information bottleneck right out the start. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, I was like, hey, can you ask can you ask your party member about this design? And then I'd wait like a couple days and then get a response back, and it's like, sorry, they were out of town.
Right.
And it's like, oh my gosh. And then one of the people, it was like, oh yeah, her design changed. She now has this like suit of armor, because that's what happened recently in our campaign.
Yeah.
And so I had to change that, and yeah, but the client was super patient. I got paid in full. Everything was good, and on that end.
And D&D is hot right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you get on there, if you have like good D&D drawings, and you get on Twitter and you're like, hey, I'm taking D&D commissions, chances are you can get work. So
yeah, it's a weird situation for me though, because if anybody doesn't know, I do sort of like manga, anime type stuff, more graphic stuff, very line heavy, whereas I feel like a lot of fantasy art is, very painterly, very, lineless basically. And so I've gotten a couple commissions, D&D commissions, but I'd say my audience would definitely be more niche than I guess it would be for other people.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
It's true. I go in
somewhere.
Yeah, I go in Discords and I say that I'm taking commissions, but
yeah, but the goal is to make the process as smooth as you possibly can, and this is a lot of what we were discussing before. Like even if you're established and you have big clients, you really should almost have like a checklist of how to deal with a new client. Does that make sense? You can't just get into a habit of having the same relationship or expecting the same relationship, especially like right off the bat, where communication is so essential. It'll just save you from heartache. So like number one thing, have a contract. Have a contract that you can send to people and say this is how it's going to go. And that way, and so Dev, you were talking about that a little bit when you were saying I need to add something to my terms and conditions on my commissions page, and I'm sure you have that set up where you can just refer people to it, and then and then they accept it. But if it's already in a PDF or something like that, and they have to sign that PDF to work with you, and contracts can be scary to people. Like there's a lot of people that like they read a contract, they don't understand it, and so they're hesitant. But you got to do it to protect yourself. You really do. And contracts also protect the person who's giving you money. Okay?
Yeah.
Because in that contract it can say like, look, I don't get paid a certain amount. Like it's probably smart to do something like a 50-50 setup. It's probably and for me, I don't really do that anymore. I'm like, look, I'm a pretty big name. Like if you're a new client and I don't know you and you're not established, if you're not a big enough publisher to do some of the promotion and do some of the legwork, then like you have to understand that someone like me doing a cover or a commission for someone like that's in that position, I'm taking a risk because I don't know you. We don't have the background, we don't have the working relationship that has established trust yet. And once that's there, you can be a little bit more loose. But until that's there, you really got to be careful, and you almost have to like reset your brain for how you're going to deal with a new client as opposed to how you deal with a client that you have a regular working relationship with. And then you also have to learn when to sort of move on from a client. And I'll just give you an example. I used to do a ton of just preliminary thumbnails for illustrators because I was really fast at drawing. And so, like, rather than them try and draw something to send to an art director, they would call me up and be like, okay, I need this many comps, and I need it by Tuesday so we can send it to the people at Chick-fil-A or whoever, Camel Cigarettes, whoever. But I used to work with someone who did freelance for Chick-fil-A, so that was a real thing. That was a real client. Now, this was years ago, before they, announced their their current policies. But anyway, it got to the point where I had way better paying clients from Marvel and DC, and those clients, those other illustrator clients, basically wanted to pay me a rate that was less than what I would be making if I was just working on my own for myself. And at that point, you have to just say, listen, this worked in the past, but I have to up my rates. I have to do something. And if it's no longer beneficial for you, you need to see if you can find a way where basically you leave amicably with an understanding that, like, okay, I've grown as an artist and I don't charge this anymore. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And that can be hard.
Yeah.
It can be hard and scary. But a lot of clients will expect that. Like, if you don't discuss rates and increases in pay and things like that, and sometimes they just don't have the money to pay you, and that's fine, but they should understand that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Put the ball in their court, so to speak. But anyway, yeah, it'll save you for some heartache. And it still happens to me. I'm sure it still happens to a lot of people out there. I might just have to do a policy where it's like, I don't do covers for anybody that's just a sole proprietor. Like, you have to have people on your payroll. and some small publishers are amazing, and some small publishers are absolute nightmares. But out of the 4 small publishing jobs for covers that I've done, the last 3 have been problematic. 1 was disastrous. 2 were problematic, and 1 was smooth as silk. And the one that was smooth as silk was Coffin Comics, which is run by Brian Polito, who's probably more organized than Marvel and DC. Like, he just has his stuff together. I mean, it's sort of amazing. I don't know if you guys ever gone down to Phoenix? Have you ever seen? You ever?
I don't think so.
Okay, you should go to Coffin Comics one day and just say, hey, I'm one of Chad's students. Can I just get a peek of your organization? Maybe. I don't know if they do tours. Maybe they don't do tours. I know that they have like a retail shop, and then like the operations is sort of behind the scene. But it's amazing. It's amazing what one person and their vision can do. And he probably has 14 full-time employees at any given moment because he's cranking it out. But as far as like a small publisher goes, like, he really runs his operation like he's an international big publisher. And he's probably faster in responding than the big 2. So, not to disparage small publishers, I'm just saying it's different. But I'm saying that for professionals, you might want to have a pre-canned answer for someone who comes up and just say, hey, this is how it's going to work. Okay, just so you know, this is how it's going to be. And that way you start things off right, and you're not finding things out after you've already done work. Because that's what leads to people getting really bent out of shape and defensive, and communication immediately breaks down. And
yeah, I don't have like a scary contract or anything, but I do have like I have like my terms and conditions, like I will not draw this kind of stuff. And there's like a little bullet list, and then
Yeah.
and then I also I try to do things through PayPal invoices,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's sort of contract y, but it helps me and it also protects the client. So
Right.
Yeah, and that's what a good contract should do. So JD Smith, digital artist, says, "I'm a pretty big name. Now go make me a sandwich." Oh, hold the pickles. I hope that that's not how I'm coming off, but maybe it is. I don't know. Is that how? I don't know. I don't know.
Nah.
Okay.
You've earned it. You've earned the right to call yourself a big name.
Yeah.
well, if this makes you feel better, before that, Crypto Comics Andrew says Chad rules in all caps.
Thank you, Andrew. Let's see. And then, good afternoon, Chad. Let's see. You do you, boss. I'm watching while packing for the show. Oh, yeah. Everybody else is getting ready for, okay, all right. It says, no, that's not how you came off. I'm just busting chops. Okay. I'm sure that the person I was dealing with felt exactly that way. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, what is happening? I'm just like, what is happening right now? It was pretty surreal, but
Well, you gotta stand up for yourself, otherwise you get
you
stepped
do,
on,
you do, and I just, but you also have to train. You have to, I shouldn't say train, but you have to teach people how you expect to be treated. Does that make sense? Like
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of responsibility on your half, and there's a little bit of responsibility on the publisher's half. I mean, obviously, the publisher had never looked at anything I'd ever drawn, ever, because they didn't know what to expect. And I'm like, and so my first question was, why in the world would you go to an artist that you don't really know, and their style's not really compatible with what you're trying to do, and then ask them to do something for you? Do you know what I mean? Like it'd be like going to J. Scott Campbell and asking for an Alex Ross.
Don't make no sense.
Right. If you want an Alex Ross, go hire Alex Ross. Right? But anywho. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody's illusion. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say that's weird that he sort of expected Alex Ross from you, considering the fact that it's like same subject matter but completely different art style.
Well, that was just an example. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, they hadn't looked at my portfolio. They just hadn't.
Right.
So, anywho, yeah. So know who you're hiring too. Do a little Google. Go to their Instagram page. Right?
These illusions just pointed out it's like the golden rule,
Yeah.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah. It's hard though. It's hard, and I'm you also have to hold the critique mirror up to yourself though, and be like, okay, what can I do to make sure that this situation never happens again, right? You don't want you don't want these bad interactions to keep popping up. So right now it just looks like I'm tracing, and I am tracing, but I'm tracing my own art. So we're fast forwarding to like the same location as the prologue, and it's the same scene, but it's 100 years later. So I'm swapping out just a little bit. I wonder if I have the. No. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so you can see this is the first panel from page 1, and so I'm basically fast forwarding the same scene to show that time's passed. So it's like the same location, but now we're in a different era. So obviously the tiny little monastery is now a castle. There's a whole bunch of gravestones out in front, and instead of a single priest walking up to the monastery, now we have like a trail of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 8 characters, NPC type characters that are about to get their world rocked. So, If you're wondering like why I'm basically going over the same stuff again, that's why.
Do we want to, at some point during the stream, do we want to maybe look at the thumbnails that I sent?
Yeah, I think I got that set up. Let me
Show my shame publicly.
Whatever, man. Your thumbnails are always good.
let's
At least from what I've seen.
let me see if I can. I think I thought I had Photoshop set up. I know I downloaded it. You know what though? I'm gonna open Photoshop and Photoshop's gonna show all my recents.
My thumbnails are good because I took Chad's comment.
Exactly. It's the key to having good thumbnails, because you have to get taught by this guy.
Let's see.
Also, just to read a couple comments, JD
Nope,
Smith
I
says
did not
it hurts
do.
people to think. And then Nobody's Illusion thinks that your panel looks cool.
Oh, good. Let me see. I gotta go back into Discord here for 1 sec. All right, let me grab Discord. Whoopie-doo. And let's see. Save image. Uh-oh. Where does Discord save image to? Here, I'm gonna copy image.
Just see your downloads.
I just checked that and it was still a PDF from San Diego with my seller ID permit on it. So I didn't open it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's try this.
that is not the file I
File.
sent.
New.
Or is
And
it?
we'll do create. Here we go. And all right, hold on. I gotta go. Let's take Procreate over here. We're about to go into Photoshop. Let's see, edit, paste. There we go. All right, so we can see it now. All right, Dev. So let's check it out.
Is it a little crunchy? No, okay, it's pretty good.
Let me see how it's looking. I gotta.
And it reads right to left, by the way.
Ah, that's big.
Gotta say that.
That's big. All right. Let's. Oh, where did? Holy! I think I just minimized OBS, which I don't want to do. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. I just wanted to see what everyone else was seeing before. All right. Okay, Dev. So I'm gonna give you the breakdown of what I think is happening. You tell me whether or not I'm spot on. Okay? Because we can't tell by the thumbnails what's playing out.
Well, I should say that basically this scene is just sort of a way for me to test my comic chops, see what I need to work on when the finished product is done and everything. This is just sort of an out of context scene.
Okay.
This is near the end of a fight, and there's no sort of like prior context,
Okay.
so to speak. So that's sort of the framing for it.
All right. Let me see if I can. I'll get a big old ink brush and let's get a bright red color on there. There we go. Can you see that? So I can draw over it. All right. Let me.
Yes. And should I send the roughs that I did for page 1 as well, because they're a bit more refined and stuff like that?
If you want to do that before I start doing, yeah. If we're gonna do that, let's do it now, and then we'll. And then that way we're not going back.
It took me 30 minutes to make these boxes.
Rut raggy.
Yeah.
Now have you made the switch to Clip Studio?
On the iPad, no, I haven't.
Okay, so you're still in
I haven't made
Procreate.
this
Okay.
subscription. Yeah, I'm doing Procreate.
Yeah. All right.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Well.
Yeah, no, I use it on the PC. It's just, I don't want to have to buy it a second time.
Yeah, that's understandable, honestly.
But it's on sale right now, everybody. It's like 50% off.
Well,
Yes.
and we were talking like we didn't want to talk about this before because we're like this is something that's already been said. But I've been trying to use Photoshop all week long and it literally crashes after 20 minutes of use. And Adobe has to be aware of the problem because you can still save, but you can't continue to work on the file unless you shut down the file and then reopen it. and sometimes you have to shut down the entire program. So, anyway, Photoshop is not what it used to be. You really do need to get Procreate. So, let's paste this in here. There we go. Nope, it's the same one. Oopsie. Did something wrong. Hold on. Save image. Oh, hold on. Nope.
JD says, on this stream, it's not about pro-life or pro-choice. We are Procreate.
There you go. That's right. That's a reference to what happened today, though. So, if you haven't checked your news, go check your news and after the podcast, and then come back. No, actually, go check it now, and then come back and be happy here, because we're just trying our best to be happy.
Positive energy.
That's right. Positive energy.
That's our role in all of this. Is
positive
energy.
Help you forget that Western society is in rapid decline. That we're living in the hands-maid's tale.
Yeah. Again, it took me. I mean, I exaggerated when I said 30 minutes, but it probably took me almost 20 minutes to just try to make those boxes perfect because, again, Procreate does not have a very good box tool.
Well, they look pretty perfect. So let's toggle back and forth. So would you say this is your pencils at this point, Dev, or is this?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Still pretty rough.
I'd say it's my pencils. I mean,
okay.
The way you and I both work is pretty rough pencils and then straight to lines. So
yeah,
it's not what I try to do.
All the heavy lifting goes on in the finishes or quote unquote inking stage.
For the most part. I mean, there should probably be a little more decision making done.
Okay. All right. So
again, I'm doing this comic for a learning experience.
Okay. So I'm looking at it. Obviously, this guy's getting punched, uppercut. And then I really like. Now, is it this panel or this panel that's next? Hand. It's this panel that's next.
No, it's the right panel that's next.
Yeah.
Yeah, right to left.
Yeah.
Oh well, you know what it is? I'm watching the stream right now, and it's a little delayed. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So we basically have the wing character on top of the protagonist. I really like this panel where it's like winding up for a kill. And then now with the hand bleeding, is that this kid's hand up here?
No.
The kid that you drew in blue, it's somebody else's blood?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I mean, this is gonna be in black and white, so I'm gonna have to use values to indicate that it's a different person's hand. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna give you some tips on how I would handle. I'm gonna go back to your roughs though. Or actually, I could just do this. Let's do this real quick. And then...
Jay Goodman Design says, I realize I tagged you in some posts of my work this week, Chad. I apologize. I'll send via Messenger.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. I really don't social that much, which I need to do better, but...
Hey, look.
We got work to do, right?
Well, also... I don't know. All social media, especially Twitter, is just kind of a cesspool.
Yeah.
A flaming cesspool. So, more power to you.
It's just a representation of what's actually happening with society. But so this is okay. Like right now, you have the character. Can you see the red lines I'm making, Dev?
Yes.
You see these? Okay. All right. So with this panel in mind, so a panel. I'm just going to go 2, 3. 4, 5 to remind me of which way the panel's flowing. So I would probably try and do something more like the punch coming from this way.
Oh, it's not a punch. She's grabbing him by the.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was having a little trouble indicating that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah. What you're gonna need to do is just have this, like, come up over and really emphasize this because I thought it was a punch just because of the way the clothing around the neck was shaped.
Yeah.
So if the demon is grabbing this guy by his vest, that vest is gonna be lifting him up So have that in there. Okay, then that works a lot better. Good. All right. Maybe get a little bit of hand reference there.
Yeah, it's
Looks-
hard because you can see from the other panels that the this character's got very like wide wrists that don't really like taper off like a normal arm.
Okay. Almost like a
So-
Popeye, yeah.
Yeah, it's a wacky situation to say the least.
Okay. And then, is this a pillar right here?
It's like a phone pole, yeah.
Phone pole, okay. So usually phone poles have like a base. Sort of like that. Just get a little
Yeah,
bit of reference on that.
I was trying to look up reference, and all I could find were telephone poles where it was like the top of them. And I
Yeah.
looked up telephone pole base, and I couldn't.
So if they're the ones on the country road, they're literally just a pole stuck in the ground. But usually in the
Yeah.
city they have some type of they double as like a light post, they double as a street light. And
Yeah,
there's
it's supposed
usually-
to be an urban environment, so
Okay, yeah.
that's what I'm going for.
Okay, I like the little, the little add-ons like the newspaper, the litter on the ground. Help make it look lived in. Gum, if it's on a sidewalk, like street sidewalks are basically just littered with these spots of like old gum, where people have
Mhm.
spit it out. Any type of little cracks just to show the seams a little bit.
I'm really not good at drawing cracks. I have no idea why, but it's like, I don't know. They always just look like lightning bolts and not really cracks. I don't know.
Yeah. So just little tiny things. You're getting the big things, but little tiny things. I like the pull out here. Silhouette wise, let's take a look at the silhouette. Do you guys ever do this?
What,
Occasionally.
silhouettes?
Yeah.
Not as much as I should, probably, but
Hold on, let's see. I think it's G in Photoshop. Now watch. We'll do like 40 minutes on Photoshop, no problem. And all that smack talking. It's like they're aware. They're like, he's on his
Can you
live
imagine if
stream.
it just it like just didn't open because it heard us talking crap about it?
yeah.
I really think a lot of the problems do have to do with conflicts in software. And we talked about this last time. So I went and did what you said, Dev, to like go through my start menu and shut down everything that basically wasn't Windows. So I shut down everything that wasn't Windows or Adobe, and Adobe has a ton of stuff at startup. So they're tracing you. So like this foot right here on the demon, that's going to be a little problematic unless we establish that this is like a 1-point perspective scene. Okay.
Right, so got to get some background in there.
Yeah, and then maybe this other leg comes up right here. And even then, like, look at that silhouette. Ringo, what does that silhouette say to you?
It's a little sus.
Right. Okay. It is just a little bit. So you want to think about just the way you have the characters arranged, and see if you can do the silhouette to where it looks like what's happening, what you want it, what you want to be happening. Does that make sense? Like, even if you have to zoom out more or zoom in more, but yeah, this
So
silhouette.
how do I make it? How do I make it less sus?
Maybe move the figure higher up or lower on the body so it doesn't look like she's sitting on the pelvis.
There you go. This is I'm so happy you're here, Ringo. I would have been like, how can I say this without saying it?
I have so many
You're
religious
so good.
friends. I'm really good at censoring
Oh
things.
wow, I gave up a long time ago.
I still live with family, so I'm pretty good at it too.
Okay, good. Well, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so just a little bit of reworking here. Panel 3, I think you're good. Panel 4, if this is and that's why I asked like where this hand's coming from. I would almost do, like, if this is an introduction to a new character, I'd almost have the hand, like, maybe over here from the back of the hand, and then we have...
And then you can see the other two characters
Yep.
in the background.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I was showing this to some other people, and someone recommended that too.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That gives it context. That I thought the hand came out so good. I didn't want to read it.
Yeah. You got it. Let me tell you something. Those
Don't be married.
Those instincts right there. Yeah, you gotta, like, if it's not working. And this will make you feel better. It's a digital file. Just turn the layer off. So, like, if you like the picture of the hand, that picture of that hand is still there, but that's not the one you're going to go with. And I guarantee you, like, the next couple of hands you draw, they're going to be better than the first hand you draw. It's all...
Well, that's what I've been trying to remind myself with just drawing in general is like, okay, because you get into this like sunken cost fallacy of like,
Yes.
spent all this time on this, but I gotta remind myself, like, I'm an artist. If I drew it once, I can draw it again.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to remember, and it burns a little bit, but it just is what it is.
Yeah. Yep. And then I like panel 5 as well. But once again, like, if you have this sort of established right here, then this camera angle makes a lot more sense. But
Right.
I might go full bleed on this one, just to show a little bit more information, just to show, like, maybe the shoulders, or maybe zoom out just a little bit, just to get a little bit more detail.
Can you write full bleed on it?
Yeah,
And then when I
let's
go to
see.
take a screenshot, I can.
Full bleed on panel number 5. There we go. Okay.
All right, good deal.
Yeah. Anywho,
Can you scroll back up so I can just?
get the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's see if I do.
I should have just been taking like text notes, but
No, it's
I
fine.
feel like just taking a screenshot of this,
That's fine.
I can interpret it.
Okay, there we go. Let me know when you're ready to move on.
I am ready to move on.
Oh, okay, hold on. I turned and looked at the other monitor. I was just going to check on stuff, and I still have Discord. Ah! Where did OBS go? All right, there we go. Oh, whoa. What? Did we reboot on our... I don't have any comments. Did we lose all of our comments? What the heck happened?
Twitch?
Yeah.
Everything's fine with me. It doesn't look like we lost connection. I can still hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing's changed for me either.
Like, when I minimized OBS and then I maximized again, like, the chat just disappeared. So I have no idea if, like, anyone's asking questions in chat.
Not yet, but
Okay.
the Sinister Sableye says hi.
Hey-ho! Glad to have you aboard. Thanks for being here. We're just going over some of Dev's thumbnails real quick, and then we'll jump back on Death Watch. So let's get these back up. So that's what we had for panel 1. Alright, so this is the bleeding hand in panel 2.
Yeah.
Okay. But I like this setup. Let's just explore some options here. So one of the things... And this is a... Let me get a new layer. Bring it down. Ah! Stop. Photoshop. Let's do this. There we go. Okay. So one of the things that really helps in any panel is just having contrast. Whether that contrast is value, contrast, size, contrast, anything. I would almost think... I'm just going to throw it out here. I'm going to do this demon head really quick. So here's your demon head. And it might not be that easy, especially with the wings.
Yeah, that's a thing I was running into a lot, was the fact that, like, Okay, if you're seeing the back of this character, you're not seeing like any information because of the wings, but
Right.
trying to be a little smart about it.
Let's see if I can. Just trying to be as quick as I possibly can.
Oh, go, go, go.
So to me, something like this would be more visually interesting. Let me get my eraser up here real quick. No.
I mean, I was definitely going for like dramatic effect.
Yeah.
Like that's why there's a lot of negative space in the panel. Is like, and I thought about potentially making the bottom character possibly just a silhouette
Okay.
to show this sort of foreground background thing.
Yeah, and yes, and you can do that. You can make it work that way. Maybe not so much a silhouette. Maybe you have like a little bit of rim light. So yeah, I mean we can take we can take this and basically flip it where the background's light and the characters are dark. But this way you have something. Let me just get this eraser back in. I got a new Wacom, and the new Wacoms don't have the eraser on the bottom.
Oh.
Or at least the ones
They got rid of that a while ago, didn't they?
I told them, I was like, that's a huge mistake, and they're like, oh, no one's complained, and then I heard they brought it back, Anyway, yeah, but yeah, so you have you have variation in contrast, you have variation in size. Like if you look at this over here, so we have this size here, and then we have this size here, and then. So you have and then it's coming right down the middle of the page. So compositionally, you're doing some no-nos because it's symmetrical, and symmetrical compositions are not as appealing as asymmetrical compositions. Don't get me wrong, you can pull them off, and people do, and they do it all the time. But generally, with what's happening here, I just think that this is gonna, something like this is gonna be a better solution than just having basically this shape and then this shape and then all this dead space here and all this dead space here. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the whole centering symmetrical was intentional for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want it to be very like, I don't know what term am I looking for, like vanilla, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely see what you're saying.
Okay.
And real quick, Mecha Jared's here. He says, "Hey everyone, how's it going?"
Mecha Jared. Jared and I had a nice little powwow last night because things are picking up on Artist Elite. We had our debut in Dallas. We didn't talk about that. I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to try and mute myself before I sneeze. It's not going
Blow it. Speakers.
Oh, I couldn't find the mute button fast enough. Sorry, guys. Whew.
Aw, sneeze like a kitten.
I held it in. My eyeballs about popped out. If I'd have kept my eyes open, they would have popped out. But I like this panel, and I like this next panel. So just that top panel on page 2, Dev, is the only one I have issues with. Okay, anytime you have and this is something I learned from Joey Cavallari, anytime you have a repeating panel, it starts to get boring.
Well, I mean, I was gonna redo the line art on it, but
okay.
Can you scroll back up to page 2 just so I can take a little screenshot?
Yeah, here. Let me dock this real quick. Don't close down Reflector, because then Procreate won't work. And then I should dock this over here. All right, there we go. Okay.
All right, I took the screenshot.
Alrighty. Yeah, so I think this is working pretty well. I would change either this one or this one. And maybe I would consider... So at first I circled this panel right here. But I think I would almost, if I was going to change it, maybe change this panel right here. Because what starts to happen is you have... Look at your composition up here. And then you have a very similar composition here. And if you just changed it on this one, then... all of a sudden, do you see what I'm saying? Where it's not stacked up again. Does that make sense? So let's go back and So we keep the hand coming towards the face, punching. All right. And
Yeah,
then-
it's the exact same like running gag that I did in the comic that I did for your class.
right,
You might remember the repeating panel from
right.
the same deal.
Yeah, and there's a million instances in comics where there's repeating panels. But this is what repeating panels do. Repeat panels slow down pace. All right. So basically, if they slow down pace, like if you're trying to have an action sequence, you probably shouldn't have too many repeating panels. Unless there's like a dramatic difference. Like if I was going to do this panel, Dev, where the face is here and then the face is here again, I'd like if the only time I would keep that composition is basically if this face was exploding or something like that. Does that make sense? And even
Well,
that would change the
I think-
composition.
Yeah, I think the way I sort of envision it is that it's like the calm right before the storm, right? It's like because her dialogue gets cut off and everything,
Okay.
right?
Right.
She's busy, doing a little villain like monologue,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when the fist comes.
The pitch, yeah, the fist comes. And even the expression, though, maybe the expression changes just a little bit. Like,
Yeah, one thing I really liked that I did, unfortunately it's not really an option here, but the thing I did for the comic in your class is that the character in the repeating panel, he's wearing sunglasses, and so in the second panel I changed it so you can actually kind of see the colored reflection of the fist in the sunglasses, which
Mhm.
helped to change,
Right.
to differentiate the panel a little more.
right.
I'll have to brainstorm a bit on what I can do for this one.
So I just gave you an option over here
Yeah.
where it's like we basically go back to this a little bit, but I swapped the background light to dark, so we just see the silhouette, characters up front.
Mecha Jared says, speaking of the artist elite stuff, did you get my dialogue pages?
I have not checked Dropbox this morning. I will check. I spent this entire morning trying to make sure I had a booth at San Diego Comic-Con. That's how my morning was spent. So I have not. Yes, but every year it gets harder and harder because the convention gets bigger and bigger, and whenever they're done with the construction on the convention center in San Diego, I imagine like in a couple of years, instead of like I would imagine that the attendance for Comic-Con is going to go up because now they're going to have so much more space. They've literally like tried to double the size of the San Diego Convention Center. So hopefully, like Artist Alley will come back. Anyway, Dev. So these top two are fine. I'll just do check marks. I would do something like this on the bottom two. That's my feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. I like this. I like the person in the back now. And notice this sort of matches what's happening here. So that that camera frame is going to come in really handy to just sort of let your people, your viewers, know where you're at. I might scooch this once again. Thinking about silhouettes, I might just scooch this over just a little bit, so there's a little bit of separation between the two forms. Mm-hmm. But I like this panel though. And then
do you think there's enough energy in it? Because I feel
Yeah.
like I've been having a little trouble with punches and stuff.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like really pushing the twist of the torso, really like just pushing things further and further so that they don't look stiff.
So I think it was John Bashima that had something like that in How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Like you really maybe oppose a little bit more, like that, where they're really swinging. It's one of the reasons why all those gesture studies are so important. You know, just maybe get some MMA fights, but someone who's really swinging that punch, you're over exaggerating. And then maybe a little bit of a Dutch tilt as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
forgot about that.
And then I would probably just zoom out just a little bit. Maybe the head's going, back. And then zoom out. Let's see. Whoa! Hold on. Ah! And then you can also add little details like the hand down here, back of the wings. Anyway, so your zoom is really going to affect. And watch out for the tangent here, because that would be right at the edge of that panel border, and you don't want that either. So maybe zoom out just a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah. Anywho. And I'm trying to think of movies. Watch movies like you should be watching like a ton of, if you're doing a ton of like melee combat. Any Guy Ritchie film almost has like a lot of fist fights in it. Sherlock Holmes has some great boxing scenes. Snatch has some great boxing scenes. Like, just watch those movies and maybe, pause the screen every now and then and just take a look at how he handles some of it. I mean, he does some really iconic stuff. I learned that working on, we did a video game called The Con, and my art director was like, yeah, you need to go watch Snatch right now. So, but I like this. So they fly back, they crash through stuff, zoom out just a little bit.
Yeah, real quick, that panel where the character's flying through the window. Mm-hmm. I tried so hard to try to find reference for a character, crashing through a window, and so I just I don't know what I'm doing with that panel. I mean, her arms and legs are like straight. She's flying back through it. It's very like boring and stiff, but it's like I don't know. In my mind, I was like, oh, I'll resolve it when I do the pencils, but that's not a good mentality.
Yeah, you got to get as close as you can, even in the layouts. So, first of all, if it's a dramatic camera angle and we're imposing a threat, I'd almost have the window from a worm's eye view, and then you could actually emphasize more like the shattering of the glass, because they're like bursting through. And if you want to, you could almost just sort of put the person or the demon or whatever in almost in silhouette, and they're just punching through that glass panel. So there's, swap that with that right there. But this is nice here. Watch out for this tangent here. So scoot everything in just a little bit so you don't have that tangent with the side of the face right on there. So just zoom out so everything fits. But I like the shaking of the hand. Like, that hurt my hand a little bit. Okay? Let me zoom out on this so you can screen grab
Only
this.
a little bit.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. Let me get a screenshot of this.
Let's see. John Buscema had that. Yes, absolutely. Those Buscemas knew what they were doing. Mecha Jarrett, let's see. Nobody lives. Wow, I still wish I still lived in San Diego. Where are you at now, Nobody's Illusion? You know what, though? I mean, San Diego is so impossible to even. The San Diego Comic-Con is so impossible to get in. It used to be you could buy tickets at the door. I don't think that's the case anymore. Let me aim my camera down at me just a little bit. You guys can see my old Wacom sadly sitting over there by the door, just unloved. Anyway, Washington, not DC. Okay, so my son's in Seattle, so all right, we'll use association there. Yeah, you study Sal Buscema, study. You know what, that old-fashioned Marvel Comics, drawing the comics the Marvel way, I tell students all the time, like, Stan Lee wrote it like he was writing it for 6th graders, but John Buscema was drawing it for adults. So, make sure you go back and look at, basically just read what John has to say and ignore Stan, and you should be just fine. But there's some really good tips in there. And then
there was a I was looking up like Punch references and stuff, and I saw one from a Spider-Man comic that looked really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know who drew it though.
Well,
But,
chances are it was either John or Jack or someone that, went all the way. There's a lot of John Buscema and Jack Kirby drawings in that book, and there are too many other people. So, maybe some. You know what? I take that back. There's probably a lot of just the original Marvel bullpen. So there's probably a lot of John Romita Sr. art in there as well. Matter of fact, I can see Peter Parker's face that I know was drawn by John Romita. So yeah. Anyway. But yeah, those old school Marvel guys, lots to learn. Okay, I like this. Crawling through the window. Bus stop. Okay, so are they walking out of the shop? Is that what we're showing here, Dev? We're on page 5.
Well, no. So, how am I going to describe this? What am I saying? They're outside of the shop, and then the bad guy gets punched into the shop, and so she's kind of like hanging out the window, pissed off.
Okay.
But the other character is still outside of the shop, and she's kind of got her back turned.
Right. So I got that with this, but with this one, I would reverse the camera angle. Hold on. I'm just going to create a new layer here real quick. Boink. All right, there we go. And notice that Photoshop is doing fine.
Oh, they're listening.
I know they are totally. I'm so paranoid. Yeah. But so for this next panel, for panel 2, so we'll go, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for this one, I would almost reverse that camera angle. So you have the shop, and you have the broken window. Okay. And then now if you want to preview the stop sign, you can have the stop sign in the foreground. Okay. But then and then maybe a little bit of 1-point perspective, and we have the character coming out here, and so we're seeing that pose like this, like they're walking up on.
I'm sorry. I'm really confused because the stream is delayed. So I'm
okay.
Like, you're telling me things like
and
3 seconds before they happen.
Before they show up. Okay, we'll let it catch up a little bit here, and that way we get the context of the scene. So we can see that they're walking out of the store. We can see the smashed window. We can see the stop sign.
Well, no, she's not walking out of the shop. It's hard because they're both horned characters. They're both like demons. So
okay.
I can see why you're getting confused. The person in panel 1 is the bad person.
Right.
Person in panel 2 is the other person.
Right. But she just punched him through a window. So the demon in panel 1 is now inside the shop?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
And hanging out of it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Then panel 2 is probably fine then. Okay. Okay. Maybe zoom out on this just a little then, panel 1. So we get a little bit more visual context. Because I think I got that reversed.
Right.
Okay. All right. And maybe I was the only one, and you're fine, Dev. Remember, all this is just my opinion. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you can't glean what's happening from the thumbnails, then that's my fault. That means I haven't done my job correctly.
Well, it's just a caution, right? It's a red flag, right?
Yeah.
Watch the tangents on this arm here, and then the horn here. You might want to just move them a little bit. I do this all the time, and I'm really bad at this. Matter of fact, we can go back to the Death Watch pages, and I'll show you. But it's still something you should watch out for, where you just have the tangent. You have the tangent on this side of the horn and this side of the arm, and they connect, and it makes them feel
Right.
attached. So just move somebody over a little bit, or move the arm up, but get rid of that tangent. Grabbing the street pole, ripping it out of the ground, that looks good. looks like this demon's getting ready for the fight, and then look of panic. So I would say that's all looking good. And then demon has this kid has the demon by some type of rope. Looking at the nod. Oh, so they're trying to get away, but they can't.
Yeah.
And the other demon's in there with a stop sign, and I need to move the panel up. Yeah. I think that's good. For the inset panel here on this last one, I would do something like this. I'd have the inset in the page as opposed to just floating. That way you have a little bit. It has less of an impact on the composition, but otherwise I'd say you're good.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I did that actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, sometimes we do stuff without thinking. You know what I mean? We just sort of. and that probably that sounded really harsh and wrong, but sometimes we do stuff when
it's all the time for me, Chad.
Well, I'm just saying we're on autopilot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like we're just sort of. Well, our minds wander. We did this. We did this exercise in class where it's like, okay, no distractions whatsoever. But that's impossible, right? To live in a world that's 100% distraction free. I mean, maybe you're daydreaming, maybe you got a phone call, maybe, you know what I'm saying? But it's good to come back and get critiques. And you know, when you get an editor at Marvel and DC, your editor is going to teach you how to, if they're a good editor. I'm very thankful. I'm going to say thank you to my editors right now. They're the unsung heroes of the comic book world. When you have a good editor, that good editor's capable of like saving your life without you knowing it. And then you have editors that just don't know what they're in over their head, or maybe they're accustomed to solving problems with writers and not artists. And in my opinion, on every book, you should have an art editor and you should have a writing editor on both books. But lots of times that's not the case. I've worked with some really great editors, so shout out to Joey Cavallari, to Mike Carlin, to Mike Martz, to Katie Kubert, Chris Conroy, Ben Abernathy, Ricky Purden. Anyway, I've had really good editors, and then I've also had bad editors who I won't name. I'm only naming like editors at Marvel and DC, but that's mostly because the editors I've mostly worked with over the past 14 years have been Marvel and DC. I've had great editors at other companies like Dark Horse and Boom. They're everywhere, but there's also just as many editors who get in sort of over their head and don't know how to communicate, especially when it comes to art. So the more self-sufficient you can be there, the better off you're going to be. So I think this works, but once again, Dev, just do that little silhouette exercise and see if the silhouette reads. Okay?
Right.
So just make sure that works, and then that panel gets inset. But otherwise, I think you're looking good. So.
Yeah, and then that thing on the bottom left is also a panel, so I'd probably inset that one as well.
Okay, yeah.
It's just a
JD Smith is making me sound like a complete douche nozzle.
I was gonna get to that, but I wasn't.
I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be.
Prepare.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be. Do I, Ringo? Am I a douche nozzle? Ringo will tell me.
No.
No. Okay. Good.
No, you just switched into professor mode.
Yeah.
Are you saying I wouldn't tell you?
I think Ringo just I don't know. Ringo said something that established trust like early on in this conversation, so I went back.
Wait, what did I say?
I can't remember now. And this is like the bad thing about getting old. You just had a way with words that didn't sound offensive or mean.
Oh, the whole.
Yeah.
Oh, the pose.
Yeah. Yeah. Anywho, that's all.
Page 1, if I recall.
Yeah, there you go. So that's it, though, Dev. I think it's on the right track. So just keep plugging away on it, and you'll be fine.
excited to see where it goes.
I know, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
There will be some offensive language.
And Photoshop did not crash, so kudos to the Adobe team.
It heard us complaining.
It did. It did.
It's like, you know what? I'm gonna prove these guys wrong live.
Yeah, because we were probably doing that for at least 30 minutes. But I'm also going to speculate it's also the file size. Because I did a copy paste on this. And did you guys see how big my brush is? Here, let's go back to this brush here real quick. So look at how big this brush is. This is normally the brush that I use to block in my panels. So yeah, this is a pretty small file. So this
I tried to keep the thumbnail tiny.
yeah. I imagine the bigger the file, the more issues you have, and I'm working on some pretty big files. I think they're about 250 megs a pop. So anywho, congratulations Adobe, you didn't crash on my live stream.
This time.
This time.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how much Procreate seems to compress stuff in a nice way. My file sizes are also pretty tiny.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine for layouts. Just make sure that when you go to work on your finished size, that you have the maximum resolution that you can
Oh yeah,
do.
I know.
All right, I'm gonna minimize that.
I have a pretty funny thing to share regarding repeating panels. It's a funny little strip that I found. I put it in the Discord.
Okay, put it in the Discord. I'm gonna see if I can get Reflector to work again. We were in Photoshop so long that Procreate paused, so now I got to sync it back up.
Wait, is this from Invincible Dev? This little comic strip?
I think it might be. It definitely looks like his art style. I don't remember the artist right now. Oops.
I'm broadcasting my Reflector code, so anyone that wants to pull up to my house and hijack this stream. Oopsie. There we go. Okay, so we're back on Death Watch. All right.
Nobody's Illusion says, Chad, you have a Discord? May I join?
Yeah. How do we do that? Techno people.
No idea.
Dev, how do we do that? How do we make that happen?
I am a techno people. Well, I mean, are you looking to join, like Chad's, like our Discord, or like the little group one we have that we're talking on right now, or are you
Probably
looking to
just
sort of
the,
add
the general one.
the illustration one?
So right now we have a Discord that's just Dev, Ringo, and me, and then I have Chadland. That's a group. So.
I didn't know about Chadland.
You didn't know about Chadland? Chadland's just
What?
yeah. I have a whole. I never get on it. I never. I'm so bad.
Chadtopia.
I do. Yeah.
You should put that in your social media.
I should, and I should
creator of Chadtopia.
Yeah. I think it's Chadland though. It's not Chadtopia. Chadland. But yes. Jump on Chadtopia, and then when I'm just drawing, we can chat for sure. That'd be fun.
You should check out the thing I sent.
Oh, let me. Should I do it on the stream or should I do it in a private window?
Yeah, you should do it on the stream. I think
Okay.
it's pretty funny.
All right, here we go.
Pretty relevant.
All right. Oh, I know this artist. This is either going to be Corey Walker or Ryan Otley. Discord will not move. All right.
What?
Come on. Discord is being... Discord is not liking me at all right now. Look at this. Shove the Discord. Come on, buddy. You can do it.
I believe in you.
I know. Oh, Windows. There we go. Okay.
Windows.
All right. Dude, what is going on? I must be... Yeah, okay.
Your mouse?
Yeah, my mouse was messed up. So can I zoom this in bigger?
I think if you click it.
Yeah, if you just give it a little tap.
So this is either Corey Walker or Ryan Otley. It looks like Corey Walker, or early Ryan Otley. Let's see.
If you click on Open Original on the bottom left, it should open up even bigger.
Okay. It did. It opened another. There we
Yeah,
go.
I think it opens in your browser.
There we
Maybe.
go. Okay.
I love it when people break the fourth wall like this.
That's funny. That is, yeah. Way to tell the world our secrets.
Oh
What was the magician that got in trouble for doing the exact same thing? There was like a magician that did that show, like, that basically revealed all the stuff from all the magicians in Las Vegas and got everyone mad at him.
I have no idea, but that sounds awesome.
Oh, I guess I didn't narrate it enough. Oh well. They were talking about how comic artists especially digital artists, will just reuse art for the sake of expediency, which is exactly what I'm doing right here in this panel. Yeah. Oh, the masked magician. Yes. There you go. Let's blame it on
Pay no
him.
attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yes. So let's finish this panel up, and then we'll move on to the next one, because we're about done with it.
Yeah, Nobody's Illusion says, by the way, my Discord is this if you want to send the invite that way.
Okay.
And then JD Smith, Digi Artist, said Disney reused animation for what it's worth. Yeah, I saw something where it was like they reused stuff from the Jungle Book for Winnie the Pooh.
I think it's vice
That's
versa.
pretty
I
interesting.
think Winnie the Pooh came out first.
Oh, it must have been the other way around then.
Yeah, so all of those 70s Disney films like Robin Hood, 101 Dalmatians, Rescuers, basically all the ones that were done in that style, they were reusing stuff like crazy. So Baloo the Bear and Little John in Robin Hood and Baloo the Bear, like, there's so much stuff that they didn't even try to make it look different. They're just like, nah. I don't think they do that now as much, but back then it was a way to save money.
It's not like comic artists do that either.
I know, right? Right. Never. Why, that would never enter into our mindset. Okay, now we're gonna do this the stairway. I want to show. I don't know if we've talked about this before. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. All right, let's go into Chrome.
Mecha Jared is wondering if this is the panel starting from the script that he wrote.
It is, but I added a panel because Jared, you just went straight into the castle, and so I'm showing that I have one panel that I've added myself that shows the outside of the castle, just to reestablish the location and that time has passed. So, see, actually, Chad, we still do in 3D animation. Time is money. Okay, really? There we have it.
Yeah, can I? Well, first of all, I should say I unfortunately have to leave in a couple minutes for work, but yeah, no, I see a lot of people getting upset at video games for like reusing animations or assets. And it's a really stupid, dumb argument because it's like, okay, do you want a video game to take 10 years to come out, or do you want it to take 3 years to come out?
Yeah.
Like, isn't more video games like a good thing? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I want video games to be made. What's the phrasing I'm looking for?
In a timely manner, and you want them to work.
I want I want the employees to like get paid more and work less and take less time, and I want the games to look bad. You know what I mean? Not bad, but I mean that's not the right phrasing. But it's like, I don't know, all this stuff with the ray tracing and stuff like that. It's like games should not cost like millions of dollars to make.
Well,
I never-
they
I never-
often do, and then they often
no,
have
I know.
crews
It-
that are bigger than movie crews.
It's a trend, and now there's games that are costing, like I remember growing up, like $60 for a game was like a lot, and it still is.
Yeah.
But now games are starting to be like $80 or like $100.
I was about to say, I think there's a few that are 100, and then like if it's a special edition of a game, sky's the limit. So,
And not to mention how much space they take up. I think the newest Call of Duty game is like, what, like 60 gigabytes or something? It's like,
yeah, but we're to the point now where a gigabyte is what a megabyte was growing up.
I know, but I
So-
just it perturbs me that
Yeah.
these things are getting so large. That's why I don't follow with like current gaming trends of like AAA companies and stuff. I mean, there's a few, like I'll look at things from like, I don't know, Sega or Nintendo and stuff, because I'm like a fanboy of both of those companies. But it's like, as far as like I'll watch these like gaming conventions. I just watch them for fun because I think they're entertaining. I'm not actually really interested in any of the games, but it's all just like, it's all just schlock. But if you look towards like the actual like indie gaming scene, it's like that's where you find the really creative, like rule breaking, like risk taking stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that's really fun, the stuff that's
But it's
only
all
made by a team of like 10 people.
right.
So the original vision gets like preserved.
There's way more focus on gameplay with smaller
Right.
games than with bigger games. Yeah.
Like I don't want to play like a visual novel that's basically a movie
yeah.
with realistic graphics. It's like I want to play something that is like that has replay value, because guess what happens after you play that story-driven game with no gameplay? You never play it again, and you just return it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my passionate gamer rant for the stream.
Okay. And as someone who worked in games, like I agree. I was only in development for 2 years. And it's really hard. I mean, I know that I haven't worked in games for like 20 years. Okay, it's been that long ago. I should say I haven't worked in development in 20 years. It's been over 20 years since I worked in video game development, which makes me sound incredibly old, which I am very rapidly becoming. But
You're aging yourself right here.
I know, right?
And look, that was my favorite era of video games. Right?
Yeah.
Early 2000s.
But it used to be that there were a whole bunch of small gaming companies, and if your game did well, then you still had a job. But if your game did not do well, that's it. Pack your bags, you're all fired. Go find your next work. And that's the way it was for a long time. And now what's happened is you have like this consolidation to these giant publishers, these giant video game publishers, just like Hollywood. Like originally every town had like a film studio in every town, and now basically everything's made in either Hollywood or Georgia in the United States. And then maybe every country has like a film mecca, but there's no longer a film mecca in just every town. Does that make sense? The same things happened with video games, where like you have these ginormous publishers like Activision, Blizzard, Sony, and then everybody else now is just freelance, and there's not a lot of stability there. So people have like these romantic notions of like what it's like to work in video games. And don't get me wrong, have you guys been following like the stuff with Activision on Twitter, where some of the people started like posting their salaries, so that like the female workers could see what the male workers were getting paid?
Well, yeah, and also the head CEO Bobby Kotick is still the CEO.
Yeah.
He's like the very problematic figurehead of it all.
Yeah.
And even though they got bought by, was it Microsoft, they didn't fire him. So it's like, I don't know. Like I hate to burst people's bubbles, but it's like I have some of my friends that are like so excited for like the new Overwatch game, and I'm just like, again, I don't want to like be a fun ruiner, but I'm just like, you shouldn't be supporting this.
Yeah.
It's a fun ruiner when they pull stuff like that, honestly.
Yeah. Now, who was it? Was it Microsoft that did Overwatch? Who did Overwatch? I thought
Well, it was
Overwatch
Blizzard.
was Blizzard. Okay.
Yeah,
Is the-
but Activision Blizzard got bought by Microsoft, I think last
okay.
year, or maybe earlier this year. I think it was.
Well, it's such a mess. It's such a mess.
I know. I hate the state of video games right now. That's why it's just so much. There's no drama. There's no BS when you're just kind of following independent stuff.
Yeah, indie games for the win.
And again, that's where you get the coolest ideas. That's where you don't get like the 500th Call of Duty game that looks exactly the same and just has a color palette of brown.
Well,
Dark gray.
that was one of the reasons why I left advertising, video game, because after development, I did video game development, then I went and did video game advertising for like 5 years, and I literally just couldn't think of a new way to draw the same cover to MX versus ATV like number 12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know what I can do that I haven't already done, and so that's the cool thing about comics, though. Is it's up to you.
Yeah.
But I think rather than reusing assets, I think the good play is to learn to minimize and to just get quicker. Like I look at Sean Gordon Murphy stuff all the time, and it's so beautiful. And he does it all traditionally, and he's learned to just put like, if it's not absolutely essential, it's not on there. And don't get me wrong, he has like crazy hatchings and spatterings, and he likes to do this crazy things with his fingerprints, where he's adding like texture with fingerprints, and I love that. But I think that's the way to go, rather than, if you go too digital, it looks, you run the risk of breaking. Yeah. Of breaking that.
I mean, we talked about in the comic class how there's a lot of people on Webtoons just doing sort of the default cel shaded,
right,
or 3D backgrounds,
right,
and it just looks bad. There's a balance, right? I was thinking about this because I think another thing you mentioned in the comic class was just sort of the concept of like what kind of legacy you leave behind,
right,
and so it's like, for me, it's like, okay, I want it to look good, but also I want it to come out and be released like before I die.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's this YouTube video, and I don't remember who made it, unfortunately, but it's basically titled like why my comic took like 15 years to make or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of thing is like
that
kind of thing is like terrifying to me. You know what I mean? It's like it's like again, there's a balance. Like take shortcuts without compromising the sort of, I guess, integrity of what you're doing.
Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? Is this reading at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say so. I mean, I'd probably do the thicker holding lines on the
foreground character.
The foreground character, yeah. I used the right term, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Holding lines or contour lines are sort of synonymous. Contour lines are used more with like the fine art crowd. The only person who I've ever heard refer to it as holding lines was my editor, Joey Cavallari. Otherwise, I called them contour lines. So
now, when someone does really short, like not hatching, but like they do the sort of bad practice of doing short, little sketchy strokes. What do you call that?
I call that.
I hear a different thing from everybody.
I call that noodling.
Noodling.
Or if I want to be cruel, I'll call it chicken hatching.
I've heard chicken scratches.
Yeah.
I've heard hairy lines.
Let's see. Crypto Comics Andrew says, I'm convinced that I am Chad's views. You are, buddy.
Yeah.
Crypto Comics is about to go live. Andrew, right? I talked with Gemma about putting Temerity up in the marketplace, so...
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Mecha Jared and Nobody's Illusion talked about their gaming eras. Mecha Jared said my gaming era was late 80s, early 90s. Nobody's Illusion said I was/am a 2000s kid, but also grew up with 90s era games too. Yeah, I'm kind of a youngin'. It's like I didn't grow up with like a Nintendo 64 or a PlayStation 1. I grew up with the GameCube.
See,
So like 2001.
the best part about working in advertising for video games is you had to play a lot of video games.
Mhm.
There are times where I got paid to play video games, but then when I switched out to do comics, like I no longer had time for it. So now I probably own like 50 games that I have every intention on playing, but I haven't.
When you're tired.
Yeah, when I'm in the nursing home, I'm gonna.
Yeah, we'll do.
I'm gonna
Minecraft
catch up.
stream.
I'm gonna catch up on every video game ever in the nursing home, and then when I beat them all, I'm just gonna die.
And if you don't, you'll come back as a ghost.
Right.
Because unfinished business.
Right.
So do you have time to read comics when you're a comic artist?
I've always been one of these people that I look at the art first, and then I read the story. And there's only a few comic writers who I will read their stuff no matter what. Like guys, okay, like obviously like if Neil Gaiman did another book, I instant buy, right? Alan Moore, except Alan Moore's gotten really weird. So, but he'd be a provisional, like so long as it wasn't something crazy. He'd be on my definite pull list. So there's writers who I follow, but definitely way more artists. And so I usually check out the artists and what they're doing, and then if I like the story or if I think I would enjoy the story, then I read it. Otherwise, I'm just looking at the art. Mm-hmm. And I've always been that way, and it always pissed off my friends because they would read it and like, dude, like. They're like, did you get that happened? I'm like, oh, no, because it wasn't shown in the art. So like, anyway.
Yeah, show don't tell, right?
Yeah. So lots of times my friends are like, what are you talking about? And like, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the comic artwork, and I'm memorizing like every stroke and like how they're drawing faces and how they're drawing feet and how they're handling, all these things. I'm in there, I'm just dissecting it. But I'm not actually reading a lot of what's going on. And you have to. Like, that's probably the biggest thing I've learned by doing independent books is, like, basically comics is all about the lettering. Because it's all about the design of, like, where the word balloons are going to go.
Yeah, like panel flow and stuff.
Yep. And so I'm sitting there doing all this stuff, but chances are I'm going to look at the script, and I might have to go back and redo it. So I have 2 panels now that are basically establishing shots.
Crypto Comics Andrew says, hope everything is going good, bro. Yep, on Temerity, we will be annoying you this week.
Sweet. Do it anytime you want, buddy. And go ahead, Dev.
Nobody's Illusion says, Lamau, I can't wait for the rest of Temerity to drop on Crypto Comics either.
Yeah, good. I hope it brings in some money, because that was the with Temerity, there's a lot of people asking like, well, why are you doing Death Watch? First of all, Death Watch is being published through another publisher. So there's a lot of synergy that happens when you're doing that. But basically what it comes down to is I have bills to pay. This is a business. It's not a hobby. And I have to make a certain amount of money. And, we came pretty close on Temerity to where it was, self-sufficient, but just not enough. So the more ways to pull in, readership on that are ways that are going to make it viable. But I have to try a different tact with Death Watch to see if I can't make it a little bit more affordable, which means I'm doing a lot more the work. So
So go tell your friends about Temerity and Death Watch.
what's that? Yeah, there you go.
Go tell
Yes.
your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun for the
Exactly.
whole family.
Fun for the whole family. And
Especially Death Watch.
I think with Temerity, it's going to be fulfilling a lot of the, because we offered it with the Kickstarters, the Crypto Comics option, and so if you bought the Kickstarters, then that fulfillment's finally happening, that's exciting. So hopefully it'll be synergistic. It's always good to work with the Crypto Comics people because they have a very large and loyal fan base. They can do things like if Andrew was running this live stream right now, he could tell us like how many people are watching everywhere in the world all at once, and he can tell you like when you say something wrong because you lose like 25% of your audience, and it's really good to have that feedback. So, yeah, Andrew, come tell us what we're doing. Andrew's a magical unicorn type person. There we go. Let's see. This is Death Watch. It's been published. Yes.
Oh, that's just me.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have to go right now.
Okay, Dev.
Have fun at work.
We'll forgive you.
Yeah, and thanks again for all the feedback
Oh, no worries.
on the thumbnails.
I'm glad we got to it.
I may try to sneak in some more pencils while I'm at work tonight, but we'll see. Don't want to get in trouble, but
Yeah. Where are you working at?
just the campus gym.
Oh, okay. You could probably be okay. I mean, are you just at like the front desk?
Yeah, but I have to like do laundry and go up and down floors and clean stuff. So
Okay. Well, don't get fired.
no promises.
If you do get fired, it's like I was fired for my art.
Well, I did that. I did those page one pencils. I was covering someone's shift at the bowling alley, and that was way easier because I just sat there for hours and hours and just futzed around on the iPad. So, but unfortunately, I'm back at the gym tonight, and hopefully there's no events going on because that's when it's really crazy.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes,
Good luck, man.
I used to walk the campus. Yeah, get out of here, Dev. Ringo and I will talk about you behind your back when you leave.
Yeah.
Good.
Say all sorts of things. Don't know what kind of things. But there will be things.
All right. Well, could I also get an invite to Chadland as well?
Absolutely. As soon as we're done, I'll have Ringo walk me through that process on how to do it. Otherwise, you might have to walk me through it.
Yeah, and just real quick, nobody's illusion. I got your info down, so we'll make sure we get you that invite as well.
Look at that. Look at that.
Doing my job.
I was.
All right. Take care, everybody.
We'll see you, Dev.
See you, Dev. Have fun.
You know how I like to use the allegory of programming the VHS?
Yes.
You've heard me use that multiple times in class, right?
Oh, definitely.
Somebody on a podcast, they said the exact same thing, and I just started cracking up. Where they were just like, yeah, I gave up on technology when it came to like programming my VHS. I don't think people understand like how much of a pain in the butt that was to try and record television shows analog.
Yeah, no, that was when I was wee baby, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But it certainly sounds exciting, you know?
This is going to be the panel that gets me canceled by religious groups.
Not the pentagram.
Yeah, this
Anything but the
is the
pentagram.
satanic scare. Oh,
No!
not the pentagram.
I have too many clothes with pentagrams on them, so I can get behind it. So,
I might have to change it. We'll see what
Well, what's
my
going on
religious.
here?
So basically, what's happening is we're fast forwarding to basically like the same location, all right?
Right.
Years in the future, and then we have in the prologue we had the father coming in, the representative of the church, holiness and whatnot, came in. And now, if you look, it's the same panel, same place, but it's obviously times past because there's a much bigger structure there. The old tiny monastery is gone, and now we have this giant castle. And we have like this caravan. I might need to add like a bigger figure right here just to make it more apparent that we have sort of like a caravan of these sisters going into this place. But they're basically gonna try and reanimate the vampire that I don't want to give away too many spoilers. They're basically gonna summon a vampire. Yeah, and it's this secret society that knows how to do it, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers. So this is the meeting of the secret society to reanimate vampires.
Can I join? That sounds dope.
You can, absolutely. Just be aware the longevity of the members is not that great. So.
Oh, I kind of figured, honestly.
It's like we're gonna reanimate vampires and see what happens.
Yeah, this is a great idea.
Exactly.
Always ends well for the NPCs, you know?
Yeah. Okay, and I actually have to look at the script now. Because there is a script on this one. Let's see what I do here.
Hear that, Mecha Jared? He's looking at the script now.
Yeah, let's see. Because I've actually caught up to the script. Let's see. So panel 1 is actually panel 3 now.
With the pentagram?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Lots of I have to definitely go back. There's a lot of dialogue now. Let's see. Okay, all right. Oh, there's 5 panels. Oh no! I have to cram more panels in here. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Let's see if I can combine any. I'm gonna combine panels 3 and 4.
Always tricky trying to fit dialogue in with the pictures.
Yeah.
Kind of what I figured out, especially if you have like larger text of dialogue.
Well, and honestly, I had already started this panel right here. Oh no, shoot! I need to go back and undo that. Hold on, I didn't realize that I drew that figure in. I have to go way back. There we go. All right, get that figure out of there.
JD Smith says if you don't have room for a panel, just note a web link that the reader can go to in order to view the panel.
Doesn't quite work that way, but you can you can do some shenanigans that you can combine panels, or you can add a page. But we're trying not to add a page, so I'm going to get rid of this guy, girl, member of the secret society, because we basically have everybody whipping out their knives.
Need friends like this. Summon a vampire. Because it's fun.
You can see how basic it all starts.
With like the knives and stuff?
Uh-huh.
Hey, everyone loves a good ritual knife.
I'm just saying, like, I'm really just sort of trying to figure out composition before I get too far into it, and then I should really figure out where the dialogue's going to go too. So I'm keeping this really loose and light until I figure that out. Okay, so I'm going to combine. Let's see. Okay, cool. No, actually, hang on, wait, what?
Everything good?
I skipped it. I skipped a panel. All right.
Oh.
Ah! And now I'm really messing up. So let's take this. We'll move it here. And then we have a close up of the head cult member. This is going to be hard. I'm going to have Joy help me with this. Get reference on how to open a giant book and keep it open while pointing with the other hand. And I
It's a balancing act.
Yep.
Can you imagine?
Go ahead.
Like, oh, I was gonna say, do you imagine if someone was doing a really intense ritual with a book like this, and then it slipped?
Yeah. And they
Like,
they
does
drop
that mess
it.
up the ritual? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Start over.
you mess up this ritual. And you guns to be in trouble.
All the cult members just like shake their heads, just like, damn it, Jared, again?
Okay, and then let's see, close up. All right, there we go. So I'm going to do a downward angle. Then I know where that word balloon's going to come from. And I'm going to zoom out just a little. Right about there. Maybe have the knife like right over.
Ooh, yeah.
So I was talking when I was critiquing Dev's stuff. I was talking about silhouettes and whatnot. And this, if I'm not careful with this is I'm gonna fall into like the same. You know, the whole do as I say, not as I do. Like that's the worst type of example to have. So one of the ways you can break that up is just with different values. So I'm going to make sure that, like, let's go back into here. Ah! Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Do you like my little scream?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty trademark. Chad messes up drawing screen. Ah! So one of the things I really want to make sure that I do here in this one, though, is to get that. Did I switch it again? Come on. Uh-oh. Now Procreate. No, okay. So why is Procreate being... Okay, somehow I turned that brush down small. So I want to make sure that my lighting is reversed. So I'm reversing the camera angle. I'm going to an up or down camera angle. But I also want to make sure that the lighting is how I want it to be. Now I'll probably have to do this lighting with hatching. I won't be able to do it with grayscale. Or I'll have to keep the grayscale on another layer, and then that way my colorist knows like where it's coming in at. We're going to try and heighten the drama on this as much as we can.
curiosity, who have you got for a colorist on this?
Chuck Michael Obach is going to be our colorist on this, and the first pages. I need to get those. I need to get those first pages on there. I should share them. But actually, go out and buy your copy of Primer Red. I have a few copies here that are signed by all the Artist Lake crew. I might do a whatnot or anything in case anyone's interested in buying. If your comic store didn't have copies, you want to grab one from me. I have copies that I can sell. I even have variant covers by Ali Garza, Ryan Kincaid, Tyler Kirkham, and Freddie Williams III. Now, I have an exclusive coming out with Comics Plus. So if you're in the St. George area, make sure you swing by there and support Dave's shop at Comics Plus, because he did order those. We want to support him in that order, make sure that everyone supports their local comic store. But if you're not, then watch me on my social media, because I should be able to announce pretty quick here. Why is that not erasing? There we go.
So, real quick, Mega Jared just pointed out that it's Primer Blue that Death Watch is in, not Primer Red.
Okay,
but Primer Red
yes.
too.
Yeah. But actually, Jared, I believe that it's just the covers that are different. I think it's the same interiors. So I need to check and actually, J.D. Smith, you're so funny. He's from the Philippines, so it's, and he just has an avatar like all you kids do. But I just anyway. Anyway, I'll take a look. I'll take a look and see if the interiors are the same. I think it just might be the covers that are different. I think the interiors are the same. So they just launched the covers by the creators that had different covers. I didn't opt into that. Everyone that's been watching this or following me on social media knows that like this year's been like a hot dumpster fire for me. Just trying to get through. People not dying. Can everyone just not die for the next 20 years? Is it bad luck to sneeze while you're saying that? I think so. I think I just jinxed all of us to instant, horrible, flaming death.
Do you have pepper near you?
I don't know what I have. Maybe allergies near me. But for
Maybe
whatever
doggo?
reason. Yeah. Boo's doing so good. We're training Boo not to pull.
Oh, on the leash?
Yeah, because you heard that she attacked my neighbor, right?
No, she did.
Oh, yeah. So what happened is, and this has actually happened twice now, but she's gotten so aggressive that if we leave the door open, she'll basically burst out of the house, run out the front door, and just go after whoever's in front of the house.
Yikes.
So we're trying to train her to save her life. So we're doing like anger management with the dog right now, which is a lot of fun. But
yeah,
yeah,
I have a reactive dog too, and it's hard.
I think it's because they don't have yards.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because every dog in our complex where we're living, they're all the same as Boo. They're all like hyper aggressive. That they all like watch out the window. If they see anything, they bark. Because I think they're bored and you know what I mean? There's not a lot to do when you don't have a yard to run around in or whatnot. So.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, that makes sense. But that's good of you guys to take that initiative with Lil Boo.
Yeah. Well, we don't want anything to happen to her. We don't want anything to happen to our neighbors, so.
Right.
So now when we go on the walks, we're doing the whole Cesar Chavez, good energy, try to stay calm.
Yeah.
If the dog does something wrong, you stop. You don't let the dog be in charge. You're in charge.
Yeah.
And she's doing good. I think her
Good.
anxiety's dropping.
That's good.
So, yeah. But
Yeah,
we
when
should have been doing it from the start, though.
No, better late than never, though, right?
For sure.
At least, I hope no one's been seriously hurt yet.
No. But if we had bad neighbors, they could have called animal services and we'd be in a lot of trouble. So
Right.
it really comes down to the person who it happened to. And
Mhm.
thankfully, our neighbors are very empathetic and understanding, and their dogs behave the same way.
That's good.
Like I said, every dog in this neighborhood has nothing better to do. So, they all sort of are like really wound up and love to bark at the other dogs. So, and so far, no humans have been hurt.
Well, that's good.
But I'm pretty sure Boo bit the crap out of at least 3 dogs in our neighborhood. So the other dogs are, well, the other 2, they're just breeds that I know, but one of them is my neighbor, Ben, and he has this beautiful golden retriever named, I'm going to say this wrong. Is it Oppa or Appa? What's the one from Avatar, The Last Airbender?
Appa.
Appa, okay. So his dog's named Appa, and this dog is the perfect dog. Mild, playful, just happy. And Boo is just like the crazy dog next door, like the one that's on Ritalin and ready to attack. But anyway, she bit Appa. I don't think she hurt Appa, because Appa's like basically 40 layers of just giant fur. But
Goof boy.
it's scary. It's scary. It's like you don't want your dog biting anyone or anything.
Oh yeah.
But she'll just charge out of the house, and she's faster than us, and especially now that we're getting older, and it's just a matter of like, what can we do while she's on a full-on sprint towards your neighbors? So
Right. We luckily for us, because I have 3 dogs, and one of them, his name is Tuxedo, and he's a really reactive dog. Like, he doesn't hate people as much as he used to, but if he sees another dog, he will try to kill it.
yeah.
And we're really lucky because he's the only one who listens. So if we tell him to stay, he'll stay.
Good.
He won't be happy,
Yeah.
but I was actually training him to walk, the kind of how you were talking, like if the dog starts doing something, you stop.
Right.
And I would tell him to sit, and he would sit, and
Yeah.
then he would just bark because he was so unhappy that he had to listen to me.
Yeah. Boo's, we're doing good. Boo's listening.
That's good.
And like you could tell when she's anxious, she's like, "Arr!"
Yeah.
And then you just sort of wait for that energy to dissipate. And then once you feel that energy dissipate, then you can start the walk over again.
She's doing good with it.
Yeah,
Boo's a sweet girl.
she is.
Mecca Jared says, my dog Charlie is good for the most part. However, I'm still trying to make sure that he doesn't bark at anybody because he still has a problem with that.
Oh yeah, Charlie's loud. Charlie's a beagle. So beagle dogs are like a signaling dog. They tell hunters when they found prey. So their barks are really loud. They're like, "Woo!"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Charlie's... Is that the same dog, Jared? I shouldn't assume. That's the same dog, the one that tried to eat me when I came over? Well, okay, so we didn't get as far on this page as we did last time. We have one panel that's almost finished, and then we have the other panels that are just sort of knocked out, but it's 5 o'clock. It's that time that we say goodbye. I know, right? But we had fun.
It was fun.
I hope it took your mind off of everything that's happening today.
Yes.
A day that will live in infamy.
Yes, don't think about it too hard. Just read
Don't.
comics
Don't.
and escape.
Read comics, and if you don't like what's happening in your state, get involved. Be a part of the
vote.
democratic process. Vote. Get your friends to vote. And the younger the better, okay? Because you don't want grumpy old people making decisions for you. Obviously. It's not working out so great. So, amazing page. Got to go. Okay, everybody, I think we got to go too. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Everyone be good. Everyone be safe. And we'll see you. Actually, next week is Denver. So,
yes, are we gonna stream a different day?
do you want to plan on Tuesday? We haven't asked Dev, but do you want to plan on Tuesday like we did last week?
Yeah, loose Tuesday, I think, and then
Okay.
we can just make sure
Okay.
that works.
So you guys heard it here. We're going to do Tuesday because Friday I'll be in Denver. So, anywho, we'll see you Tuesday.
a good
Bye.
weekend, everybody.
Bye bye.